Recording. Alright, it started. We got 2 hours. Let's see how far we can go. So yesterday I stopped at front-end engineering, JS4. I finished one problem. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, 6 ones to go. First one is Stars UI. Let's see. Click on the demo. Okay, so I have 5 stars. And then as I move, it changes. Okay. Makes sense. So git merge. I'm on P2 branch. Let's make sure I'm in sync with master. Now I'm in sync with master. Create JS4. So I'm gonna create a simple star. I need an element to contain all of the stars. So give it a container. Const container equals document.query selector. All right. So if this works, I should be able to see my website. Yay, my website is up. And if you guys want to see it, this is cerny.com. I bought a new domain name. cerny.com. Okay. I realized I named this file wrong. Instead of index, I should move it to become 2.html. That would make more sense. Okay. So now my website is here. Let's talk about how to solve it. So first things I need to do is to create a star. I just need a star. That's it. How do I create a star? Font. You need to add a free open source library called Font Awesome. Add the CSS file from their CDN or use this style sheet. Nice. So this CSS, this is all CSS that's written by this company called Font Awesome. So let's just take that and put that into our website. Link. Okay, now to see if Font Awesome is loaded on my website, I would need to inspect element. When I refresh, yeah, so a request is sent out to get Font Awesome. Okay, that's good. So Font Awesome is loaded. Next up, I need to add in a star. So let's see if this star shows up. Nice, I got a star to show up. And then growing larger. Okay, larger applies that. That makes sense. So let's look at the original website. Okay, so the original, when you see it has the star. Does our stars look the same? Mine looks smaller. So let's increase the size a little bit. Font size. Nice. Let's make it 40 pixels. So add some CSS. Star should have font size of 40 pixels. And then there should be, I'm just trying to get it to look good. Huh. So class FA star font size 40 pixels doesn't seem to work. For some reason, maybe my style is not written correctly. Style. Font size. Looks right. What if I just did FAR? Nice. FAR worked. Weird. Why did that happen? Nobody knows. Maybe this FAR is overriding the FA-star class. Let's just say that's what happened. And then when I have a dot selected, when I added a selected class, I want the background color to be yellow. Yellow is a combination of red and green. Background color is not the right CSS property. What color? That's not right either. How did this get that to be yellow? Let's see. Oh, FAR and FAS. Let's see. FAS. Nice. Alright, so this is pretty ugly when it's selected. I need to give it a border. And what they're telling me I should do for border is add this. So that looks good. Starting to look good. So we have two different states of the star. One should be FAR star that's not selected, and one should be FAS that's selected. So FA star is this class that both of them have. So we want their font size to be that. So hopefully that works. Cool. So now we have a selected version and a non-selected version. That's good. Now that we have both versions, we're ready to add some logic. So what do I want to do? So first thing is I want to create an array of 5 stars. Just have 5 stars. So let's do that. I need a function because I need to create 5 stars. I need to do something 5 times. So I need a helper function called run x times that takes in a number and a callback. And I need a I that starts at 0. So what this function would do is that it would just do something 5 times. Cool. And then whatever that return will get pushed into an array. So result equals empty array. So the base case would be if the result length is bigger than or equal to num, then we know that we have executed x many times. Otherwise, we would run the callback and then push the result into the result array and continue. So if result, let's just give it an I to make it easier. if I is greater than or equal to num, and return result. Otherwise, result.push, run the callback and pass an I, and then return run x times num callback I plus 1 result. Okay, cool. So now we run x times. So what do we want to do here? We need to create a class for star. And what star would do is it'll take in a number. So give me a second. Oops. I heard there are some issues with joining the chat, so let me figure out what's going on. Twitch is down. Okay, it's back up. Yes, and we're live. Cool. Welcome back. As always, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Basically, to catch you guys up, what I did was I created 2 stars, one for the selected state and one for the non-selected state in my HTML. So that way I can see what it looks like here. And then now after I have these 2 states going, I added a CSS property called selected. Right, so now that I'm thinking about it, I actually don't need this selected class. It's just extra. And then the website is JS4 2.html. The question with there's a question about WebKit. What is WebKit? These are browser prefixes. So when CSS properties are new and recently comes out, like some browsers, you can't do that. The browsers wouldn't recognize what it is. So when a new CSS property comes out, like text stroke width, instead of releasing it to everybody right away, they prefix it. They put a WebKit dash. So, yeah. So WebKit is really to use not publicly available features in your browsers. Cool. Good questions. So now we have 2 stars. What I did is I created a function to run something x times. So if I do run x times, like and run 10 times, console hello world, then when I refresh the page, it should console.log hello world 10 times, which it does. So run x times. This function is going to help us out a lot. So next, I'm going to create a function star, and this star takes in an element I. So what this would do is document.create element I cons element equals, and then it would do container dot append element. And then before it does that, I need to do element.class list.add fa star, and then add fa regular, and then I append the element. So now if I do run x times, and then I run 5 times, and then for every time my function runs, I create a new star. Then if everything works out, I should see 7 stars. Wow, I saw 7 stars. Haha, that is pretty cool. So now I'm going to put all of them into an array, and then I console.log stars. So when I refresh the page, you can see star is an array of 5 objects. So stars at index 0, this would be the first object. This guy actually. I can remove the 2 original ones now that I use for the UI. So now my container can just be empty. Okay. So now this is a little boring. Let's give this class a function. So this dot remove unselect is going to be a function where element dot class list dot remove, no more far, but we add fas. Okay, now when we refresh the page, we have our stars at index 0 dot unselect. Whoa, the first one. Well, actually, I got it the opposite way. I actually meant select. So let's fix that. Cool. So stars at index 0 dot select. Yeah, and it's selected. Start index 3 dot select. So 0, 1, 2, 3. This should be selected. So let's see if that works. Hey, that works. So now we have select. I think we need to do an unselect function. Unselect. And then what does unselect do? It removes the FAS, and then it adds the regular class. So stars at index 0 dot select. Now it's yellow up here. That looks good. And then I'm going to unselect. Yeah, and it's gone. So the last star I'm going to select. Now it lights up. Then I'm going to unselect. It's gone. Cool. Okay, so now the logic is more or less there. I think we need some text here. But maybe before we go into the text, we can just do this step by step. So when I hover over it, when I hover over an element, then everything before it needs to be unselected, and everything after it needs to be selected. So element dot add event listener mouse move. So when my mouse is moving, I am going to run x times, or stars dot for each star and then we need the index of each star. If the index is smaller than or equal to the star that I'm hovering over, then s.select. Else s.unselect. So now I'm going through all the stars, and if the star that I'm going through all the 5 stars, and if the star is lesser than my current star, I'm going to select it. Otherwise, I'm going to unselect it. So now I look here. Let's hope it works. Whoa. Yeah. This is cool. I noticed my mouse should be a hand sign. Right now it's a pointer. So let's turn my pointer into a let's turn my cursor into a pointer. For all of the stars. Now it's a hand. It's a pointer. Okay. So now this is done. I think as I hover over it, I just need to change the text. So to change the text, I do create a new thing called text or message. And message. Cool. So now when I hover over, I'm going to do message.inner HTML inner text equals you are giving 5 stars. Should be I plus 1 because index starts at 0. Yeah. You're giving 1 star, 2 star, 3, 5 stars. This doesn't look quite good. It's too small. So let's see how we can change it. Give it a margin, maybe a line height, 100%. Oh, that didn't do anything. Maybe margin top, 10 pixels. Let's make this bigger. Margin top, 20 makes sense. And then font size, 2em. Yeah, font size 2em. Can I make my terminal font size bigger? Yes. Okay. Hopefully this is big enough. If it's not big enough, let me know. If it's possible, you might be able to zoom in or make your screen bigger too. But yeah, I made it bigger again. Okay, so just now what we needed to do is add a message CSS to do font size 2em and then add a margin top of 20 pixels. What was it, 10? Let's do 10. Nice. This looks good. When I refresh the page, there is no text. Maybe I should say you are giving 0 stars. You are giving 0 stars. And I shouldn't have a bang. Okay, so now I'm moving around. This is good. Now when I click on it, it should lock it, right? So when I click on it, it should lock it. When I click on it, it should lock it. So a variable that is outside the class, like in the global scope, a variable that is locked true or false. And when I click on it, I set it to true. So I need a variable here that is locked is false. And then if my mouse is moving, if it's locked, then don't do anything. Return. Okay. And then when I click on the element, onClick is locked equals true. And then I need to set the text to you have given X number of stars. You're giving 3 stars, and when I click on it, I have given. So when I mouse over, it doesn't work. So now I have to, like, when I mouse move in again, I need to unlock it, right? So I'll mouse in, unlock it. So at event listener, mouse enter is locked equals to false. Unlock it. Now I am giving 5 stars. I have given 5 stars. Oh no. Okay. So what's happening here is that my mouse is entering. When I click on this, my mouse is entering this star. And then it's entering this star. So every star I enter is going to unlock it. So this is a bug. I cannot put this here. I need to put this outside. This is a container thing. When I go into the container, then I unlock it. So I lock it here. I lock it. And then when I leave the container and I go back into the container, then it unlocks it. But if I lock it and I don't go out of the container, then it stays locked. See, don't go out of the container, it stays locked. And then when I'm out of the container, it comes in, unlock. Cool. And all of this clicking works. Oh no, the clicking doesn't work. So there's a bug. So when I click on it, I need to run the function. So the easier way is to, I should put this message outside. So the easy way is to copy and paste this over here and it'll work. But as a good engineer, we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't just copy and paste. Otherwise, these two code is the same. Right? This should work, but it's bad code. Let's just see to make sure it works. 4 star, 2 star, 3, 4, 5. So clicking works now, but this is very ugly code. We don't want to do it like this. So what we should do is I can create a helper function. So const render stars that takes in the number. And then it runs these functions. And instead of I, it's num. Right, so on mouse move, I run render stars. Actually, I don't even need a num. I can just let this be I. I don't even need an argument because this I comes from inside the function here. So now I call the render function, the render stars function, and then when I click on it, I also call the render stars function. And now this function is not duplicated. Cool. So let's take a look. I'm giving 1 star, and then when I move around, nothing happens. And then when I click again, I've given 4, 3, 2, 1, 5. And I move, nothing happens, but if I go out and I come back in, yeah. Okay, cool. So everything seems to work. Let's do a recap of what I did. So first thing I did is to get the CSS working. So remember I had a selected button and a selected star and non-selected star. That was how I started. And then I added some CSS. And then after that, I created a function to run a function's certain times. And then I have a container and my message. And then my star, when the star class is created, it creates a star element and it adds the classes and it puts it in the container. Then I have a helper function. When I click, I run the render stars function. And then I have this select and unselect function. Cool. And then I just create 5 stars and I'm done. And this is done. I'm going to add 2.html. Get status. Solves problem 2 of JS4. Let's submit. JS4 problem 2. Awesome. This is done. Now, I'm going to check out P3. Make sure I'm in sync with master. Create a JS4 folder. And then create 3.html. So now, since I switched branches, this file would no longer exist. Cool. Okay. Nothing that involves me so far. Let's look at problem 3. So stars UI, wow, that was really fast. It got accepted already. This is my submission. Okay, so Google Fair. Let's see what I need to do for Google Fair. Oh, wow. Wow. So cool. I want to see how the wheel looks like. Zoomed in. Boom. Wow. Wheel is so cool. Let's see what time it is on the clock. The time is... Oh, this is not even a clock. I thought it was a clock. Okay. So this looks really interesting. One thing... Let's see. Let's get some hints. I'm given a small image. Okay. I'm given a large image. Ah, I see. And then I'm given a scope. Scope. Okay. So I'm just gonna do the first things first is I'm just gonna have the small image show up. So let's put the small image in. So to put a small image, I'll put the small image inside this container. So container, image tag, small image. Okay, let's see if this small image shows up. My website is now 3.html. Oops. JS4 3.html. This is not good. Oh. I need to move it into JS4 folder. JS4 3.html. Okay. Yeah, now I have this showing up. And then what I need to do is center it. So to center it, I think the text align center. Awesome. Okay. So if I have this, now when I move my mouse, so I think an easy win for me to do is this scope. When I move my mouse, the scope should follow my mouse. So when I move around here, the scope should follow my mouse. Oh. Okay, but to do that, when I move around this image, one thing I don't like right now that I think would give me the some problems is that if I put my mouse over here, I would like it to show 0, 0. But then since the container spreads the whole width like that, I don't know if image is gonna give me 0, 0. So I'm going to print out what my mouse coordinate is when I move around this image. So let's give this a class. Let's call it small. So const small equals query selector. Oops, document.query selector. So I'm gonna get the small element, and then I'm gonna listen to mouse move, and then when my callback function runs, when the browser runs this function, it's going to pass in an event. So I'm going to look at this event to see what I get. Oops, I need to do container text align center. Okay, so now when I move, I'm gonna move to the very top left of the image, and then I'm gonna see which are the events I want. So this mouse move event, I have client X, and this is a big number because it goes from here, from the left all the way here. I don't want that. And then client Y, just the beginning of the page down here. So we don't want layer, I don't want layer X either. Offset, maybe offset X and offset Y would work. So let's see if that's what we want. I'm gonna go to about the middle. And then let's see the offset. Oh, offset X and offset Y is always 0. So we don't want that either. So now we are stuck. I don't know which event to use. This mouse move is really complicated. So to solve this problem, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this container over here. I'm going to give it a position absolute, well, relative. If I give it a position absolute relative, or maybe position, yeah, position relative. Let's see if that changes any of the mouse events. So I want a mouse event with a very small x in the hundreds. Offset Checks. None of these seems to work. So we have a problem. What we can do is I can look at this image. So if I look at small dot offset left. So small dot offset left is 1062. So what I need to do to get the x is I'm going to take the client x minus the offset x. Okay, so let's do that. So cons x position equals small dot offset left e dot client x minus offset left. Let's see if the x position works for me. So when I move left, oh look, I'm almost hitting 0. 0, yes, I'm right at the edge. And then when I move my mouse to the right, it moves. Okay, so I can get the offset x pretty well. So I'm going to add an h1 element. Let's call it, just to help me see, class equals debug. I'm going to add a debug. So y position is going to be client y, offset top, and then debug.inner text equals x position is x pose, and y position is y position. Got that? Now 0, 0 is right about here. So now as I move around, I get to see. This would help me debug. Okay, this is great. So now what I need to do is I need to, as my mouse move, I need to move the circle picture around. So let's do that. Here's the circle picture. Where should I put the circle picture? Let's put the circle picture over here. So dot scope. Let's call it scope. Oh, the reason why I put the image tag inside the scope is because I see that if you look at this demo, like there's a big picture inside the scope, right? So that means I need to put 2 images in here, one for the scope and one for the big image. So here's the scope. And then it's this div that's going to move. So I need to do dot scope. I need to do position fixed. And then top 10 pixels, left 10 pixels. So now the scope is positioned here. So now as my mouse move, the scope should pretty much be where my mouse is. So let's do that. So as my mouse move, my scope needs to move. So I need to get the scope. And the scope is going to be the client X and client Y. So scope dot style. So I'm going to set the CSS. Left is going to be X position pixels, and then the top is going to be Y position pixels. Oh no, the scope is not moving right. So I think it's E dot client X, E dot client Y. Okay, so it kind of works, but the scope needs to be moved up halfway. So how big is the scope? Let's see. The scope is 200 by almost 200, so I need to move it minus 100 to move it up. So X position looks good. Now we do Y position. Minus 100. Nice. So it jumps. The reason why this is jumping is because right now my mouse move event is on the scope, not the small image. And then when I leave the scope, and now the small image will get a mouse move. So then what I want to do is I want the scope to just ignore my mouse move events. Just have no events. And to do that, I believe I saw something like this. Pointer events none in the scope. So on the scope, hey, now my scope is moving. That's good. So now inside my scope, I just need a background image. The big background image. So let's do inside the scope. I need a big background image. All right. This big image. Okay, this looks ridiculous now. Haha. And the reason is, if you look at the element, my scope is now really big, right? If you look at the width of the scope, it's like, the width is like 1000. See the blue? 1000 by 700. So we probably need to fix this with 200 pixels. Right? 200 pixels. So now we make the scope small. And then once we make it small, we also need to do overflow. Hidden. Gone. And then this image is right here. So this needs to be position absolute. Top is 0. Left is 0. So I need to move this up. So yeah, so let's do this one by one. Let's do this again. So it makes more sense because it's hard for me to even grasp. So first thing I need to do, the scope is too big. I need to make the scope 200, width and the height of the scope to be 200 by 200 with 200 pixels. Right? Pixels. Okay. And then this guy needs to be positioned absolute to be where the scope is. Okay, so let's do that before I forget. This is width 200. And if anyone have any questions, let me know. Height is also 200. And within this scope, let's give it a class. Let's call it big. And then big would have position fixed. Oh no, absolute. Top is 0 pixels. Left is 0 pixels. Okay. So now as I move around, the big picture also move around. That's good. That's good. But the thing is, we want the scope to show. So if you see, the scope is behind this image. This image is covering the scope. So we need this to come to the front. And to do that is z index 1. Oh, I guess that doesn't work if I made it 2. Oh, I didn't know that. I need to give it a position absolute and then set the z index. So now the scope is front and center. Cool. So I need to give the image scope. All the images in the scope is position absolute. That's confusing. Scope image. Let's give it a class called scope image. Scope image, position absolute, and z index of 1, so it shows up at the top. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay. Whoa, now I can't see anything. So we need to hide this. We need to hide the overflow. To hide the overflow, give it overflow hidden. Yeah. Okay, so now I have this overflow hidden. Cool. So now I need to move the big image. So let's say I move to the right 10 pixels. The big image needs to move to the left by 10 pixels times the ratio. So what is the ratio? Let's get the big. Cons ratio equals small dot width. Can you do small dot width? Let's see. Small dot width. Could. Small dot width divided by big dot width. And then if this gives a decimal, we want to get rid of the decimal. No decimal. Just a good pure ratio. Ratio is not a number. It's not good. Why is it not a number? Small dot width, big dot width. Oh, you know what? I know why it's not a number. It's because when the page first loads, the image hasn't loaded yet. So if you throttle your page to really slow, when the page is done, oh, I guess that doesn't work. So it's only when you move we calculate the ratio. So when I move, I calculate the ratio. So let's see. Ratio is still always 0. Oh, it's big divided by small. What am I doing? Big divided by small. Okay, so it's 3. So now if I'm at position 0, I need to move the big to the left by let's see, big dot style dot left is x position times ratio plus 100. Let's show you guys what happens if you don't do plus 100. Oh no, I don't see anything anymore. So if you can't, I can't see anything anymore, and the best way to solve this problem is to get rid of the overflow. Yeah, so now we see the big image. Why is the big image so far away? Left. Oh, I need to do opposite, so it needs to move negative. Ah, nice. So now it's coming along. If I move my mouse to right here to the left side, you realize the big image needs to come down a little, right? So here, for the Y position, the big image needs to move down. So -1 times. So how do you move this down? You add 100. So let's see if this works. Hey, this looks good. My Y looks good. Nice. And then I just need to do the X now. So -1 times X position plus 100. Awesome. So now I can move around, see what I want. And now we see a square, right? So to make this square a circle, you give it a border radius of 50%. Nice. That's all it took. So let's give the scope a border radius 50%. Awesome. That's good. Now I can look at the clock. Cool. So now when I move out of it, I need to hide it. So display none. So the scope does not exist. And then when I move, then display becomes block. And then when I move out, mouse out, then I set the display to hidden again. None. Okay, yay, it showed up. Let's look at the tree. Let's look at the tree. Wow. Then you have the fountain. So I don't know if you guys remember, but this is actually on google.com. So Google World Fair. So this picture was actually on google.com. Yeah, so this was on google.com a few years ago. So this exercise is cool. We built what Google built. Okay, we are done. Let me just remove that. Let's remove the debug. I'm done. Problem 3 of JS4. JS4, problem 3. Cool. Now, while I'm waiting for this to be reviewed, let's play Lights Off. Let's do Lights Off. To do that, git checkout branch 4, git merge master, and then create a JS4 folder, 4.html. Okay. So Lights Off demo. Let's look at this. Done. This. And now we're going to 4. Okay, so when I click on this, okay, these lights up, and I am done. I'm done when everything lights up. Let's see, I click on this, 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 click on this. Awesome. Click off. 5 by 5. So when I click on it, it flips and the other guys flip. So every time I click, it flips. Click and it flips. And it's only the immediate ones flip. So I imagine having a class and a flip function. Okay, this seems pretty straightforward. Let's see, n by n. I have a container and inside there's different blocks. So, ooh. And then I imagine this is a 2D array. This is a 2D array, so I need to write something like the make 2D function. Okay, I need a make 2D function. That gives me a 2D array of these guys. So let's do that first. Here's the container, and then here's a box, and then script. It's a container. I need to put some CSS. Or maybe I need some CSS. Box will have width of 50 pixels and height of 50 pixels. Border 1 pixels, black, solid. Maybe not black, like something dark like DDD, and then background color is AAA, or this should be DDD, and then the border should be dark like 3F, 3F, 2F. Okay, let's see how the box look like. Aw, this is ugly. Background color. Background color should just be a color. Okay, cool. So now if you look at this, it's 52 by 52 because of the border, the width and the height. So I need to adjust this to be box sizing, border box. So now it becomes 50-50. So and then for 3 by 3, I need 9 boxes. So these are all stacked like this. If I give it, the boxes are stacked horizontally because they're all block elements. But what you can do is if you give it display inline block, then now they're all lined up like this. And then, do they have a margin? Margin 0. So now they are like this. And then this is good. And then the container, if my width was 50 times 3, like 170 pixels, then I have a 3 by 3. Cool. So what I did was I give it a display inline block. So display. Okay, I no longer need this. I just need a class called box. Function box. And this has an X and Y. And then when this gets created, element equals document dot query selector create element div, then element dot inner class list dot add, and add a box class. And then after I add a box class, what I'm going to do is container, add that to the container. Okay, no, we don't need these anymore. Awesome, let's get to work. In JS2, we had to do make 2D function, so I'm gonna write that again. Make 1D function first, and then how many columns. And then I'm gonna start I at 0. But I also want to pass in a row, so row. I need a variable and a result. So make 1D function. What it's going to do, if I hits the number of rows, that means we're a number of columns, that means we're done, return the result. Otherwise, we're going to create a box object and put it into the result. And then we continue. So if I is equal to calls, return result. That's how I solved JS2. And then result.push new box. This should really be row and column. So the row is what I pass in, the column is going to be I, and then return make 1D. Okay, so I got my make 1D function, and now I need to do my make 2D function, which takes the number of rows and then I to keep track of where we are, and result that starts with an empty array. And what I'm going to do here is I hits row, I return result. Otherwise, whatever make 1D returns, I push into result. And I continue with make 2D. So if I is equal to row, this is just like JS2. Return result. Otherwise, result.push make 1D. The same number of rows, and then column is the index, or the row is the index, and then that's all it takes. Return 2D. Okay, let's see if make 2D works. So I'm gonna make a 3x3. So there should be 9. And we got 0. Because it's missing for a function body. Oh, I wrote this function wrong. Declare functions like that. New box is not defined. It's new box, like that. Thanks for the tip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow, it worked out perfectly. So after I do that, I can do container dot style dot width is equal to row times 60 pixels, or 50 actually, because each box is width 50. Whoa, 3x3. Okay, so now we have our box. Yeah, we have our box. And so each box would need a toggle function. So let's do a toggle function. So each box would need a toggle function. This dot toggle. So if container dot has class. So before we toggle, I want to make sure that I know what toggle looks like first. So I'm going to give it a background color of yellow. Yellow looks like that. So I'm going to delete that. Okay, so when it's toggled, it's going to look like that. So dot box, when it's selected, I'm going to do that. Okay, so for my toggle, I check to see if there's selected class. If it has it, I'm going to remove it. If it doesn't have it, I'm going to add it. So if element dot has dot class list dot contains selected, if it contains selected, then I'm going to add it. So element dot, actually remove it. Remove selected. Else I'm going to add it. Yeah. Cons boxes equals. So now I'm gonna do boxes at index 0. Nice. So boxes at row 0 is this guy. Let's do the middle one. So boxes at row index 1, and then it's 0, 1. So dot toggle. Let's see if it works. Oh, it turned yellow. And if I toggle it again, it turns back. Yeah. Okay. And then now if I do one above, right above it, and to the left one, yeah, that worked. Okay. Cool. This worked. And someone suggested to use classless.toggle. I didn't know that was a thing, but let's see if that works. So he's saying instead of doing all this, we could just do this toggle. No way. Let's find out. Wow, he's right. Okay. Thank you for that. I learned something new. So now what I'm going to do is, now that I have this toggle functionality down, I can just, when I click on it, it should toggle, right? And then it should toggle the neighbors. But I can only click on the lighted up ones. So toggle once. So first is element.add event listener, click. So let's just toggle. So this dot toggle. Okay, let's see if that works. So when I click on it, hey, that's cool. Now I can click on this. Okay, so, but I shouldn't be able to click on the one that's black, but that's not my problem right now. Boxes at row -1. So when I click on this, right, I'm toggling this, but I also need to toggle the ones to the top left. So first, I need to make sure if the top row even exists. So if the top row exists. So like if I click here, this guy, then the top row wouldn't exist, so exit out. And the left exists. So left is row and column -1. Then boxes row -1, column -1, toggle. Okay, so this is the top left. Let's make sure if it works. So if I click on this, if I click on the middle one, this one should light up. Hey, that worked. And if I click on this, that one should change. Okay, that one worked. So actually, this doesn't do diagonals. It only does the 4 corners. So it only does top, bottom, left, right. Okay. So if it only does the top, then it's the same column. This is the top. And then right bottom is +1, row +1. And then left is nothing here. Left is column -1. And then right is column +1. Boom, 4. Boom, 4. Cool. Okay, so that one worked. And then now, what do I do next? Oh, when I start the game, I need to create a random one by default. So game. So start game would run that. So I'm gonna put this into a start game function so I can start the game over and over again. That boxes plus nothing for now. So after I start game, I need to create a random const random x equals math.random times 3 or times num is a variable. Math.floor this, and I do it again. Random y boxes at random x and random y dot select. Okay, so I don't have this select function, so I need to add that. This dot select is a function, and it just adds selected. Cool. So now every time I refresh the page, it's a different position. Now we can start playing it. Wow, this is pretty hard. Oh, I need to make sure I can't click on that, but before I restrict myself, let me try to finish the game. Wow, is this impossible? Oh, yeah. So I think if it's all lighted up, or if it's all dark, you have finished the game. So, um, every time I click after I toggle, I run check game. So check game is a function. And then I need to do a find. So check game, I need to go through all of the boxes to see if they are selected or not. So I need a helper function called getState. Is selected, and then I return element.classlist.contains. Okay, so now const I need to do boxes.find row. So first I do const start equals boxes at index 0 dot is selected. Okay, so I want to see if all the rows are similar to it, and if anyone is different, I want to find if any one of them is different. So to do that, I do row.find box, return box does not equal to start. So const found equals. So if all of the boxes equals to start, then found would return undefined. So then return bound is not equal to undefined. Return. So const result equals if result is undefined. That means that, let me add a comment. Result is undefined if every box is the same class as the first box. Okay, then game is over. Alert game or confirm or cons data new game equals prompt game over. Next game size. So I ask user for the next game size, and then I do start game with the new game size. But before I start game, I need to do... Oh, and the last part is start game. I gotta make sure I clear it. So container dot inner HTML is empty. Okay, let's see. Let me try to finish this game. Oh man, it's not easy. Oh, come on. Oh, oh. Oh, oh. Oh, oh. This is hard. Okay, I'm about to finish the game. Oh no, didn't work. So check game checks this, the first one is selected or not. Oh, box will never be equal to start, so box dot is selected. Oh, so stupid. I realized I also have a hack. So if I make this, so boxes at 0, 0 dot select, and then shouldn't be selected. And then the first row should be selected. Okay. Now if I click on this, I should win the game. Yes. Next game size 2. Oh no. Too much recursion. Went on forever. Next game size. Oh, I need to convert that to a number. Okay. So let's hack this again. That one gets toggled. That one gets toggled. Then the right one gets toggled. Okay, so if I click on this, game size 2. Yeah. Win this. 3. Okay. Pretty much done. The last thing I need to do is make sure that if it's not selected, I can't select. So for that, on click, instead of this toggle, I check if it contains selected, then if it doesn't contain that, then return. Okay, now I can't do that anymore. Let's try to win the game. This game is hard to win. Okay, so I am done with this problem. Git add JS4, git commit solves problem 4 of JS4, code submit, problem 4, that's off. Okay, that's submitted. Number 5, Kanban board. Let's see the Kanban board. Hello. Oh. And there's an undo button here too. What? Okay. So there's a lot going on. The first thing I need to do is just obviously just create 4 boards. I think that would be a good start. So git checkout p5 git merge master, and then create a folder called p4 5.html. Okay, so script. We need a container. And then I'm just gonna create a class board. Board, I need to know which board it is, so it's helpful to have an I. So const boards equals new board 0 1 2 3. Cool. So new board const oh, I need to grab the container. And then board would do element equals document create element div. And then the div has a title, so let's just add those in. Element.inner HTML equals, ooh, board also takes in a title. Const titles. And the titles are to do, doing, done, approved. I'm creating a bunch of objects, so name is to do, doing, done, and then the last one is approved. So going to put the titles in here. And then the color. What is the color? That's the color. What's the color for that? Nice. What's the color for this? Purple. What's the color for that? Pink. Cool. And then const title equals titles at the index of the board. And then inner HTML, we can do stuff like h1, there's an h1 element. And then that would be title.name. And then maybe like style equals style has background color as title dot color. So and then I need a to do container. So to do container. Okay, and then I need a input container. And inside input container, I have text area. I don't know what these are, so I'm gonna remove them. And then I have a button. Okay. Oh, and then after that, I need to add it to the container. Oops, that's not mine. I'm on 5.html. Cool. Well, this looks better than nothing. How do we make this better? So here's the container. Maybe just give it a display flex. Flex. Hey, look at that. And then each of the element has a width 100%. Okay. Let's try that. So style container has a display flex. Flex put everything in one line. Yep. And then let's give element a class name. So element dot class list dot add. This class list, I'm going to add it's a board. So board is going to have a width of 100% and a margin of 25 pixels. Okay, that kind of looks like it. Not quite like it. Okay, so let's see how much space is in between each one. Or there's a sec. It's 30 pixels. 30 pixels everywhere. 30 pixels. Okay. So how many pixels is that? This is 30. But this is also 30. That's awkward. So there's 60 pixels in here. Okay. So what I can do is I can give container padding 30 pixels. And then once I have padding, so okay, so now everything is 30 pixels around them. And then this would just be margin right 30 pixels. Okay, and then this would be right 30 pixels. Okay. So margin right 30 pixels. And then this is only padding left. Now containers left, this is 30 pixels. This is 30, 30, 30, 30. And at the top is also 30. So we have fulfilled, I'll turn this off. We have fulfilled these requirements. Cool. And then the title here is centered. So, and white. So dot board h1 inside of it is going to be color white, text align center to be in the center. Okay, cool. So this is good. Now, this guy, this text area. Okay, so since these fill up everything exactly, I'm guessing what I need to do is input container needs to be display flex as well. So let's take a look. This input container, if we give it a display of flex, nice. And then text area needs to be width 100% to fill up all of the space. Yeah, that was easy. Cool. And then why is there an empty space? This H1 we need to, okay, let's tackle this first. Text area with 100%, input container, display flex. So text area is going to be with 100%. But it's part of input container, so I think it's better to do it like that. And then let's just make the button bigger. So button height 200 pixels. Okay, maybe that's too big, so 100 is good. Okay, cool. So this looks kind of similar. If you look here, there's empty space because of the margin bottom. So if we give this a margin bottom of 0, nice, then we'll be good to go. So margin bottom 0. Okay, cool. So this is good so far. When I type something and I click on submit, something needs to show up here. So there needs to be a to-do item. So let's do, basically I need to insert something in here. So I need to grab this to-do container out. So const to-do container. And then instead of document.querySelector, I need to look within this element only. So element.create query selector for to-do container. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is, let's say there is an add function. So this dot add text or add item is equal to string. So when I add the item to do container, when I add a string to this, to what I need to do is, okay, I need an array of to-do strings. So const to-do list inside this board is an empty array. So whenever I add a string, I can do to-do list dot push string, and then to-do container dot inner HTML equals to-do list dot reduce accumulator string return accumulator plus h3 element string. Okay, so I created a to-do an add item, and then basically I push it into the string, into whatever I'm adding into the array. And then when I push it into the array, I re-render. I go through the array and I create one big string of h3 elements, and I put it in inner HTML. So let's see how that looks. So now I can go to console, boards at index1 dot add item, hello world. Nice. Can keep adding to add item, hello world. So this doesn't look very, very pretty. Let's try to make it more beautiful. Essentially, you have, okay, yeah, this sucks. So I think the h3 inside the to-do container needs to be, instead of h3, let's give it an element. I'm gonna put that in here, and then give a class to do some styling. So dot to do. Let's make the background color 10 pixels. Oh no, background color a little bit gray, maybe just a little bit. Let's see how that works out. Okay, that is really ugly. Happened. So to do has a background color, and h3 element has a, this has a margin. Okay, so to do, and then this has a margin, so I need to remove the margin. So padding 10 pixels, I give the to do padding, and the h3 inside the to do has margin of 0. That's okay, that's perfect. And then maybe my to do needs to give a margin top of 5 pixels. To do margin top, margin bottom. Let's try that. That looks better. Margin top, margin bottom, 5 pixels. And then I want to cover the empty space over here, so input container should have margin top of -5 pixels. -5. Okay, cool. So the to do has a margin bottom of 5 pixels, and then the input container has a margin top of -5 pixels. Ooh, so beautiful. Cool. So this is good, but the problem is this should have a lot of things like the left button and the right button. So there's a lot of functionality here. And I don't want to work with strings like this. I don't want to work with strings like this. So instead of strings, I'm going to create a to-do item. So function to-do takes in a container, and then board ID. This way we know which to-do it belongs to. So then every time I create a to-do, instead of pushing the string, push new to-do. And then in here, to-do container, pass in to-do container, the board ID. Oh, and then the item, so which is the string. So board ID and the string. And then this is gone. Don't want to reduce anymore. This is it. And then whenever I push, I just want to do const element equals document.create element div. And then I'm creating this div over here. So element dot class list dot add to do. So I'm adding this guy over here. And then element dot inner HTML equals. And then now I pass in the h3. And then the container dot container dot pen. So now it's a lot cleaner. I just push and I create a new to-do element, and then I create the element, and then I append it to the container. So now if I refresh the page, basically everything should still, oh no, S is not defined. I meant str. Okay. Okay, so everything works as is. That is good. Right now I'm gonna create a left button and a right button. So maybe in this section, font awesome would be cool. But maybe we don't have time. Yeah, why not just add in font awesome? So font awesome in JS in challenge 2 told us to use font awesome. So I would do that. Add that. Then I would create an icon as the left-hand bar. Let's look at font awesome. Oh, no, what happened to the page? Pay for it. What do I search? I want to pay. Font awesome search. Yeah, font awesome icons. So I need to do a left. Oh no. It's called chevron-right and chevron-left. So the left is going to be chevron left. Let's see if that works. Oh, it doesn't work. Maybe it's just chevron left. So this one doesn't work. Yes, no font awesome. I'm just gonna use a regular span tag. The tricky part is I can't just use that because that looks like the browser might think it's HTML. So this is a less than sign. So you should write less than like that, and then semicolon to end it. And then here, this is greater than. So now if I create, yeah, so you can see that it showed up now. And to make everything one line, we just give it a display flex. Cool. And then make the hello world width 100%. Yeah. And padding. Top and bottom is 0. And then left and right is maybe 10 pixels. Yeah, to make it look good. So just to recap, our to-do has a display flex. And then our H3 inside has a width 100% and padding. So to do is display flex, and then this has padding 0, 10 pixels, and then width 100%. Okay, this is good. So now on the left, on these icons here, I need to click. So on these icons, I should give it a class name. Class is left and action. Left action. Class is right action. So any of the action elements is going to have cursor, pointer. Okay, let's add some items. Pointer, yay, it's good. Yeah. Okay, and then what I need to do is now like element, I want to select this left. So element dot query selector. Whoa. When I click on the left, I need to execute a function. And what this function does is that the board to my left, so board ID -1 is to my left, add string. And then after I move it to the left board, I delete myself, so element remove. Is that all it takes? So now I'm going to add a couple. Aw, nothing happened. So did this query selector not work? Oh, add click. Add a couple. I really should be adding like that with a number, so I can track it better. So this one with 8, I'm going to actually this one with 5, I'm going to move it left. Board ID -1 dot add is not a function. Okay, why does the add? Why isn't it not a function? Const.log board ID. So let's see what board ID is, and we'll also let's see what board ID is. When I click, board ID is 2. So what's board ID of 2 - 1 is 1. Why didn't that work? Board ID -1. That is weird. So I'm gonna add more const.log. What is boards at index board ID? Oh, it's add item, not add. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna move the 871 to the left. Hey, that one got moved to the left. I'm gonna move 213 to the left. Yes, that one worked. So if I can move to the left, I can move to the right. Move to the right, +1. So 146, I'm gonna move to the right. Oh man. Dot right. One, two, three. Okay, I'm gonna move the one that ends with 957 to the right. Yeah. Move it to the right again. And to the left. And then back. Yes. That's good. I'm gonna move this to the left. Yeah. So now we got our items moving. We should start adding. Okay, so every time we add or move, what we need to do is, let's see. Every time after add item, we need local storage. So see how it says boards? So we need local storage. Const. So we need to get the data. My local storage is gonna look like this. Local storage is going to look like this. Item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4. So local storage is going to look something like that. This 2. My editor is like messed up, I think. Okay, I don't know how to fix this. Maybe if I... Okay, there's nothing I can do now. Yeah, so local storage is gonna look like this. So data equals app data equals local storage dot get item, all items. Or it doesn't exist, it would be one empty array, 4 empty arrays, and then json.parse it. So now app data is an array. Okay, and then when I create the board, const data equals app data at index, whatever the board index is, equal log data. So now when I create the 4 boards, it should just console.log empty arrays, 4 empty arrays, empty for each board. Now, whenever I add something, or I move something, I need to store all the data into local storage. So const get data from boards, or let's call store data from boards So store data from boards, we'll do boards dot reduce for each board. Const. We want an array of arrays, so we do a map. Board data equals boards dot reduce dot map board, and board is going to return board dot get data. So get data should return an array of strings. So now this dot get data equals a function that return to-do list. And to-do list is an object. To-do list is an array of this to-do objects, right? It's not strings, and we want to get the strings out. So we want to map through it, map through every to-do, and then const to-do string list, and then need to do to-do dot get string. And since to-do is this to-do item here, we need to run the get string function. So the get string function would just be here, this dot get string, and it just return string. Okay, so let's see if this works. So if I add item to this, and then I do get save board, what is the function called? Store data from boards. Let's see what we get from board data. So I'm gonna add a few items and then save, store data. Okay, that's not good. We got array of undefined, 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 undefined. So board.getData is returning undefined. Why? Because it's not returning anything. So return to-do string list.filter. So basically we only want string that has a length. We don't want empty string. So okay, now I'm gonna add a few. Whoa. I'm gonna add 4. Oh, come on. str is undefined. What? Let's learn more. Oops. To-do string list is filled. Why don't we just return to-do string list then? Okay. Okay, so add item and then store data. Whoa, this is good. It's good news. Oh, it's undefined. Okay, so we're getting an array, but we're getting undefined. So this get string, this map isn't returning anything. So, okay, now we get an array of items. So if we get boards 2 to add an item, I would get, so this is a pretty good representation of our data. And then when I move this to the left, when I get the data, what do I get? I got 3, 1, so that's not good. So basically when I move left, the guy here, it should be empty now. So this should be gone. So I need to filter out strength. I need to first filter, and then second of all, when I remove it, after I do element.remove, I need to set the string to empty, so it gets filtered out. So let's see. Add item, and then I'm going to move this to the left. 1, and then add some more item. And then now, this 1, 3, that's pretty good. So I'm going to move this again. And then this is 1, 2, 1. So 1, 2, 1. So we got that pretty nicely. And then now that we can store data from boards, instead of console.log, we're just going to do local storage dot set item, all items, json.stringify, board data. Okay, so now when I add stuff and then I store data from boards, I look at my local storage. Hey, the data is here. Okay, cool. So I just realized it's 7:30 now. I went over time. Sorry about that. I'm gonna stop here, and then tomorrow we'll pick up. We only have a few items left. We just have loading the data from local storage, and then adding the undo feature, and then adding the add feature, and then we're good to submit. So hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll upload this video tonight. Bye bye.